ASEAN 2014 kicked off Saturday with a gathering of foreign ministers in Myanmar. The group released a statement about the recent incidents in the South China Sea, saying they hope the countries resolve their disputes in a peaceful manner. This year's theme is called Moving Forward in Unity. It's the first time Myanmar has served as host 17 years after it joined ASEAN. Well, for more on this session, I'm joined live via Skype by Gregory Poling. He's a fellow for the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Mr. Poling, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, what are the expectations and goals of this gathering?
Well, we'll be watching four main things, I think. One, as you said, is just how Myanmar does. This is really a breakout moment for Myanmar, coming out of decades of military rule and being able to finally host its counterparts in this meeting. So far, they're doing pretty well. The second, obviously, is going to be the South China Sea. This week, we've seen things get pretty heated between China and Vietnam, and we expect that they'll be talking about this front and center. Whether or not it makes it into the final statement from the not just the foreign ministers we saw yesterday, but the heads of state will be key. People will also be talking about Thailand. They're the only country not present at the head of state or foreign minister level, because their head of state and foreign minister were both ousted last week by their constitutional court. And the last will be the future of ASEAN. They'll be talking about plans for economic integration by the end of 2015, and then what to do beyond that.
So is this mostly a symbolic discussion, or will anything of substance actually be signed?
They do plan to sign, they're expected to sign agreements on finalizing their own ASEAN economic community, which will be a vision for a joint market, bringing down tariff barriers, the like. They're not going to get there by the end of 2015, like they say, but it will be more than symbolic. The rest, unfortunately, probably will be symbolic. There will be a statement, most likely, calling for calm in Thailand, calling for a peaceful resolution of the South China Sea, but I don't expect to see these nations come out really haranguing China or anything on the issue.
You mentioned the tensions in South China Sea, you mentioned Thailand, but there's a much bigger conflict going on in the world right now, and that's the crisis in Ukraine. Will that come up in any shape or form?
Most likely not. The ASEAN leaders, when they meet for these summits, tend to focus exclusively on their own community. They have other meetings with outside players, including the United States. Later this year, they'll meet at the ASEAN Regional Forum, which brings together 26 countries in the EU. Those are the forums where they're more likely to talk about broader, both Asia-Pacific and possibly global issues, but not here when it's just the 9 of them in the room.
So let's go back to the recent face-offs with China, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Does this give each side also the opportunity to perhaps file some kind of formal complaint at this gathering for each side to tell their version of stories about what happened in South China Sea?
Well, the Philippine president, President Aquino, has already made it clear that he's going to come out swinging at this meeting, trying to rally support among his counterparts for a real statement against China, condemning China, and supporting arbitration in international courts as the Philippines is pursuing. Thanks to Chinese actions last week, I expect that he'll be joined by his Vietnamese counterpart, Prime Minister Dung, in that effort.
Gregory, can you tell us, we talked about Myanmar hosting this briefly. This is pretty big deal for Myanmar, the fact that it's hosting the summit and it's also chairing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Last time Myanmar's turn came up to chair the group, it politely was shunted aside by its members because they frankly didn't need the headache of a military junta that was seen as a pariah state. This is not just that Myanmar is capable of hosting it, but that it's being welcomed by its neighbors hosting it is a big deal.
All right. Thank you so much, Gregory Poling, Center for Strategic and International Studies. We appreciate your take. Thank you.